If you do not have a degree today, it's okay. I would say certifications are must to do, and your basic graduation makes you understand that industry which you choose. And these are like you have the base of the cake, but without that icing and without that decoration, it won't look pleasing enough to be bought. Stress taken in the right direction is good. Stress is okay. When you walk, your legs strain. When you're thirsty, you drink water. When a child cries, only then the mother feeds.
Correct.
So that stress in the right way is okay. Like, you are doing good at work, but why don't you do MBA? And I was like, MBA, me working, handling children? Impossible. And he's like, tomorrow is the last day for form, and let's fill it. Let's try, and I help you. I believe in you that you'll be able to do it. And then he calls me again and says, why not PhD? I was like, I even saying, how we did our MBA? And he's like, no, I believe in you. And when somebody believes in you, you started believing in your own self. So my experience, if it can change somebody else's life, I would tell that start small, but dream big. Because if you dream big, only then you can achieve big. And only by dreaming big can you achieve it? The answer is no. But with dreams, with equal efforts, dedication, and not giving up, that resilience was equally important.
Hello everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Mekotachi podcast. I'm your host Nirjara, and today we have a really special guest with us, Mrs. Kanchan Sonik. So if you're someone who believes that learning stops after school or college, then brace yourselves up because Kanchan ma'am is about to prove you wrong. She's a service assurance lead at Tech Mahindra, a program management expert, and a life coach. But beyond this impressive resume of hers, she has a journey which is filled with resilience, leadership, and a never-ending thirst for knowledge. So, Kanchan ma'am, we welcome you to the podcast, and we are really very excited to have you here.
Hello ma'am, welcome to the podcast. We are really very happy to have you here.
Same here. Thank you so much.
So ma'am, you have such a diverse and inspiring educational background, like from an ITIL to an MBA, then multiple cloud certifications, and now currently pursuing a PhD degree. So what initially struck your passion for continuous learning, and what is that one thing which keeps you motivated to keep evolving?
I would say learning is a continuous process. And when I started with my MBA, little did I know that I will continue. When I was writing my MBA exams and assignments, I thought this is my last exam of the life. I'm not going to write anything because being in the industry, you can type without looking. But writing those pages, then thanks to our Indian education system, that they still believe in getting handwritten notes, so that this is my last exam. Little did I know that I did my MA English and Human Psychology, where I needed to know how I work with people and teams. And then when I started continuing my journey of certifications, I understood that the more you learn, the more you know how little you know. And then the knowing becomes easy. The journey of PhD started with my inner why, because in school and colleges, we are all together when it comes to girls and boys. But when we start working, only few make it to an office placement or maybe getting a job and moving that fresher tag. And then in some years, boys continue to grow, men continue to work, and women continue to leave.
Yeah.
And that was bothering me, and hence I started doing my PhD in management, where I'm trying to find the challenges women diversity faces to reach executive leadership. So, and I would say the more you concentrate on learning, the more you understand that there's so much more to learn. And leadership and learning are indispensable. You can't take a learner out of the leader. And I think that started somewhere along that I wanted to learn more and more and more and more. And the same question my children ask, when would you stop learning? And my answer is, I think this learning eagerness or inquisitive learner would die when I die. I'm going to continue learning until I die.
That's very impressive. Okay. So, as you've mentioned in your past interviews about mentorship playing a very important role in your career, especially your mentor at McDonald's, like he was the one who pushed you to take that jump in your career. So according to you, how does mentorship shape our learning journey? And what is your advice on finding a mentor who truly pushes you to grow in your career?
So what I believe in or I understand, it's a very nice question for today's generation where everything is so technological based, Gen Zs, millennials, they all feel that I have it all. But then I got the true definition of yes as my first mentor. And I was blessed with a lot of good mentors in my zone. But as they say, when you want to learn something, a guru appears. And when the learning is over, the guru disappears. So we need to be open to find where the learners are. And then we have to find who is an experienced person who can help you, guide you. So in McDonald's, yes, I was doing great. And I was getting into my comfort zone. So comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing grows there.
Yeah.
And then he came and told me that why not you try something else? And then, I believe in you. And when somebody believes in you, you started believing in your own self. That happened even in my early childhood. We have a family friend, Dr. Vivek Sharma, and we call him Guddu Bhaiya at home. And I know how he will react to listen this if he listens to. But then he was doing his engineering, I was in school, and whenever he came home, he was the mentor who would come and say, come, let's do this, or let's revise this, or let me help you with it. And that journey began, and then one fine day he just calls me that you are doing good at work, but why don't you do MBA? And I was like, MBA, me, working, handling children? Impossible. And he's like, tomorrow is the last day for form, and let's fill it, let's try, and I'll help you. I believe in you that you'll be able to do it. And then before all my exams, I used to go a day or two before my exams and sit with him, and he'll explain the concepts like he used to do in childhood. And I cleared my MBA. And then he calls me again and says, why not PhD? I was like, are you insane? You know how we did our MBA? And he's like, no, I believe in you. And recently, last week, I met him and I said, I just want to come and see you. And he's like, why? I said, just I want to come and see you. And I just took a token of gratitude about how important he has been in my life. And he was so excited opening doors. And I said, you've been a mentor who believed in me before I could. You have been a mentor who pushed me before I could think of doing things. So he came in the right aspects and at work and across everywhere. So it is not the age. It is about the right person. It is about the right mindset. And it is about a leader who knows the way, goes the way and shows the way. If you want to climb Mount Everest, you can't go to a person who have never been to a trekking industry.
Correct.
So knowing, taking information from whom is equally important in mentorship. So to all of you, find your mentors and you will see how you outshine and you uncover and unpuzzle your own life with the help of a mentor.
Yeah. So from your experience, you understand that how important it is to have someone noticing that thing in you and pushing you to do it, take that step.
Just to add in sports, somebody desires to be, an Olympic champion, everybody. But then how do they start? They start playing first. And when somebody who's a sports person watches that and then takes it ahead. So it becomes very important to believe in ourselves first and believing that mentor and surrendering to that mentor.
Correct. Yeah. So moving towards the next question. So ma'am, as nowadays we observe that in the technical world, most of the people focus a lot on the hard skills like programming, automation, cloud certifications and so on. But when you enter into leadership roles, suddenly it's all about management skills, communication skills, etc. Since you've been part of both those sides, so how do you think that professionals can strike a right balance between technical skills and the soft skills?
A very tough question though, but when we talk about skills, first, all the skills are equally important. So if I talk about only soft skills and without a degree you would be able to clear an interview, the answer is no. But if you're a topper at your university and if you don't know how to crack that interview, you're not going to make it through.
Correct.
So it's a combination of both. And when it comes to learning, when you start as a fresher, it's like an ocean. How much can you take? And that one bucket every time adds up to your collection. So it's about how hungry are you to learn. And when you learn, then you are given more opportunities at work. So it's not that you come today and in one month you'll be a leader or 1 year you'll be a leader. There is no process. It's about how hungry are you and how much more can you bring on table. So once you start giving hard work, then your technical skills are tested, no doubt, yes. You should be great at handling, analytics, understanding the data which is there, then understanding the pattern of your work, trying to bring innovation, changing every day, bringing that continuous improvement which you can bring on table. And then how good are you with your team? As an individual contributor, you would be a great person, but are you able to handle that stress? Are you able to divide equally? Are you able to appreciate somebody that, come, let's do it? Are you able to help? And that is what everybody else watches. So, your inquisitive nature. Are you a learner? Are you a team player? Are you able to manage stress? It's not a goody-goody life always. And no work is a, bed of roses. We have thorns, we have challenges, we have situations where you feel like giving up.
Yeah.
But how many times you collect yourself and say, let's fight again? True. And when you come to leadership, it is about how much you learn and how much you can avoid those errors with others. So my experience, if it can change somebody else's life, I would tell that start small, but dream big. Because if you dream big, only then you can achieve big. And only by dreaming big can you achieve it? The answer is no. But with dreams, with equal efforts, dedication, and not giving up, that resilience was equally important.
Yeah.
So once you become a mentor and a leader, leaders' quality is making more leaders. Replicating that work, ensuring that your team achieves more. What is team? Together achieve, everybody achieving more.
Yes,
right?
Correct.
So handling them together and making them walk in one direction at one momentum is when you'll hit the target.
Okay.
So there's so much more that Kamadi wrote.
Correct. Yeah. So it's basically about maintaining the balance between both. Yeah. Okay. So, ma'am, you started in operations and then later moved on to leadership roles. And when you moved there, it requires influencing, negotiation, and managing people. That's a bit like being thrown into the deep end and then without a life jacket. How did you navigate learning the principles of sales, and what is your advice for the youngsters today who look for the similar transitions in their career?
I would say you guys are better at negotiation. You guys know how to get that extra pocket money. You know how to get an approval for a movie, even though there are exams chasing. You know how to push your professors to, chase that assignment date to a little more later. So, learning from all of you in the team, I think we have become a little better. But jokes apart, negotiation comes deep-rooted. We as humans are very good at negotiation. A child would convince you for a chocolate, even though we know that may give to cough. A child in winters will always ensure that we have an ice cream after a meal, even though it's chilling. So, those basic concepts of life can be easily put at work. And negotiating on some extra hours. So, for example, I'll give you maybe a dummy example. So that we have a project and we have a deadline after 10 days. Being a manager, I push that deadlines to 5 days. I don't tell my team that it is actually 10 days. So I go and tell them, what guys, let's wind up this project in 5 days. And they look at me like, not possible. It's like, how can we make it possible? Let's sit together. And then somebody will say, I'll do extra hours. I know this also. I'll work up. I would need somebody who's from a different project. And they come up with those solutions. Why did I keep that 5 days of buffer? If something goes wrong,
Correct.
I'm still prepared. So I negotiated that time already before going to them. And they don't know it.
Yeah.
Right? But it is for their benefit. That if something goes wrong, I still have 5 days of backup for my team. So that they're still on time.
Correct.
So such negotiations. And then somebody says, I want leave. Okay, it could be a genuine medical emergency. And somebody just wants to go for an outing. So how do I convince one person to take a leave?
Correct.
It's about showing the deliverables getting affected. And it is about equally. I am equally responsible like you. And so are you. So you decide.
Correct.
So giving them that authority to take decision. Bringing in that trust in the team displays more. And those skills are tested only when you give somebody responsibility. So when I tell you that, you are responsible for this podcast, you'll go behind the scenes ensuring that everything is in time.
Yeah.
Because you have responsibility. So I would say to all leaders, create more leaders by trusting your team, by giving them responsibility of doing something extra, and see what beautiful colors they bring in on TV.
So trust plays a really important role.
Very important, yes. That's the foundation.
Moving on to the next question, ma'am. So, ma'am, since you've had a very great experience in hiring individuals like across the country and you've taken multiple interviews, so apart from the technical skills, what's that one thing that you look for in an individual while interviewing them?
Before going on to this project, I'll give you a little background. I thought, training and hiring would be so easy. I'll just go take resume and I'll have interviews. You just need say 1,000 people. I'll be able to easily hire 1,000 people. Little did I know that I had to do at least interview 10,000 people and I couldn't hire 400 out of them. Why? So I had toppers. I had people who had 90%, 95%, 80% in their engineering, no etiquette, no bags, all good, but couldn't speak a word. They went numb, they were sweating, they had cold palms, and they were frozen. And then is when I understood there is a gap. So our academic systems ensured they had amazing grades. In that they forgot how to speak. In that they forgot how to interact. In the race of scoring more, they forgot that interaction plays equally important role. So they've done amazing project, but can't explain me that. And if you're amazing at only coding, how would you speak to my customer? How would you convince them? How would you answer their queries? And how would you negotiate on table that this can't be done in this many hours? So it's not only your grades, but how do you communicate, confuse and convince people, and then add clarity is equally important. How your words, tone, and expressions add value. How you are comfortable sitting in 10 people and still speak the same tone and words and add value to table. So this boardroom right now would be full of seniors, great experienced people who could be CEOs in the room, but your idea makes them execute that idea. Are you able to sell that idea? If not, then that idea makes no value. So Ola, Uber, if I talk to my grandparents, don't make sense to them. Yeah. Today the world is using them because it was just an idea. And that person didn't hesitate to compete with the transport industry, which was well established. Correct. So if you youngsters have an idea and can bring it on table and speak and add value and bring it on, then that's all we need. We need great minds, people who can influence, talk, and take complete accountability and ownership of their task.
Yeah. So taking responsibility and the communication skills also play an equally important role.
True.
Yeah.
So it's a full package.
Correct. Speaking about stress, so you've worked in high pressure environment, handling and hiring national scale interviews, and you've always been working in this ever evolving technical industry. And you've been in places where stress becomes a thing while working. So my question to you is, how do you handle stress while working? And more importantly, what is your secret when it comes to managing stress and being sane and also being effective at the same time through it all?
So I would say it's not that we are all that calm like a duck, continuously paddling but still smiling and waving. We do get stressed.
Correct.
And it is about handling it well. So it's like driving in Pune traffic and still smiling at the passengers go around, saying, oh wow, thank you for adding to that traffic. It's not that easy, but then we all achieve. So now around 18 years in Pune, I have achieved that nirvana that I can be quiet listening to music and still ride.
Yeah.
So it happens with practice first, and second, stress taken in the right direction is good.
Okay.
If you don't have that stress of doing the right things in right time, that pressure of time, you will never do things in time. If there was no discipline of reaching assembly at say 8 in the morning in school and the principal and class teachers were lenient, you must have never reached assembly in time.
Correct.
If you never have a deadline of an assignment, we all will never submit it.
That's true.
And if we don't have, those stress pressures, we all will give excuses and examples and fault of the world, but never be on time. So my only thing to everybody is, stress is okay. When you walk, your legs strain. When you're thirsty, you drink water. When a child cries, only then the mother feeds.
Correct.
So that stress in the right way is okay. And that finding that perfect balance, we all are struggling. We all are struggling. Somebody is okay to hit on the first ball a 6, and somebody plays 6 balls to understand a bit.
Correct.
So it's about individually understanding what you're made of and what you can play and what you can't.
Yeah. So pressure is equally plays a very great role. Like
without a pressure, we don't get rice.
That's true.
So we know the whistles, let's blow it in time.
Yeah, that's true. I completely agree with what you said. Pressure actually makes you, sometimes pressure brings the best out of you. So ma'am, how do certifications, like since you've done multiple certification courses, so how do certifications compared to formal degrees? Like, what is the importance of certifications as compared to a formal degree?
It's a different path. It's like, you want to reach, for now, Mahakumbh would be the best example. It is about reaching Mahakumbh. Somebody would go by train, somebody would go by bus, somebody would go by own transport, and somebody would choose airline. The mode you choose will decide and define when you will reach. Okay. So I started after my 12th grade. I've been working for 18 years now. So after 12th, I didn't have a formal graduation degree.
Oh.
But I was working because I was good at communication and wanted to learn more. But did that stop me from a formal degree? The answer is no. So I was working and I did my formal degree. But then I was working in IT and I couldn't understand the basics until I did that certifications. So I understood that gap of not being an engineer. How would I cover that and stand and sit with all of them without understanding the jargons of the industry? So let me learn it. So that's where I understood that importance of learning a certification and mastering a technology is equally important. So in today's world, if I say that live without a smartphone, would you be able to survive?
That's quite difficult.
So that is how it became important to me then. So I had to do ITIL to understand the IT infrastructure. Then I wanted to go into management and I thought Prince 2 would add values. Then today I'm working with a testing team and DevOps and whatnot. And I thought, why not Azure, and let me understand what my team does. So Azure 900 came, and then the world is moving from a waterfall model to, the service delivery lifecycle has completely changed. So from waterfall model, now we are working on Scrum. So every day we are trying to work. So things changed and I did my Scrum Master degree. So certifications added me to the learnings which people bring in on table when they're from that industry. But if you want to learn, these certifications are like those quick passes to the VIP entry. So you still can make it, and no barrier of education can stop you in doing anything. So when I was doing all this, and then now 18 years, I thought, why not coaching? And the organization I work right now is a wonderful organization called Tech Mahindra. And they enabled us to be in-house coaches. So we went to an intensive 6 months training program, but we are certified life coaches now. And that coaching experience added so much of difference from mentoring. A mentor tells you, guides you.
Yeah.
A coach unpuzzles you. So a mentor would guide you to do this. A coach would ask you to choose a way. So there's a difference.
Yeah.
And that you realize only when you walk that path. So I would say certifications are must to do, and your basic graduation makes you understand that industry which you choose. And these are like, you have the base of the cake, but without that icing and without that decoration, it won't look pleasing enough to be bought. So that is important.
So ma'am, like the example you took, Mahakumbh, I'm really impressed with that example. Like it actually tells you that it doesn't matter what the mode of transport is. What matters is reaching the destination and making it worth it when you get there, and like feeling equal when you stand with degree or with certification. But it's all upon you that how you take it, how you take yourself forward. Ma'am, this has been such an insightful conversation with you. But before we wrap up, if you could just give one piece of advice to all the youngsters and professionals out there about continuous learning, so what would it be?
So that's the key to success. If you do not learn, you do not grow. If you don't update, you get outdated. If you do not have a degree today, it's okay, but you may have it tomorrow. Don't give up on the resilience of not learning. And what worked for me was only continuous learning. And ever since I started, I haven't stopped. I do 2 certifications of the industry in a year. So now cloud is something which I'm learning and understanding, and I understand with ground basics. So I compared the crowd from a coffee shop. So how do we understand? We go to barista or Starbucks, we offer, and then your request is processed. Same as cloud, nothing else. So when you don't understand, learn it again. And when you do not understand, relearn. And when you learn so much, unlearn. Because it's a continuous process. So learning is the only key, and learning and leadership are indispensable. So if you want to be a leader, you have to be a continuous learner. The day you stop learning, your leadership journey won't survive. walk your journey, because everybody has their own journey. But the destination is something very beautiful if you walk the right journey.
So, ma'am, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And I'll not go wrong if I say that I've learned a lot of things from you today. And I'm sure that our viewers will also get to learn a lot more things from you today. And truly, your journey has been really inspiring, and your views to all those things like continuous learning and then the process of communication skills and all, that's really inspiring for all of us, especially for the youngsters who are planning their career ahead. So that was really inspiring for all of us. And thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us here today.
It is indeed an honor, and thank you so much for such a platform which shares and talks about the need of the art. A lot of people want to know and achieve so much, but how? So these podcasts are the answers. So thank you so much to everyone behind the camera and all the team who made it a success. It is really a great opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you everyone.
To our listeners, if you enjoyed today's podcast, do subscribe and share it with your friends. Stay curious, keep learning, and we'll see you next time on Nekotachi Podcast. Thank you.